Welcome back. This is Jeff Freeman with Mic'd Up with Jeff. Super Bowl Sunday, Silver and Blue Nation. I'm excited about this game this evening. You got the New England Patriots going up against the Seattle Seahawks, and it's looking like it's going to be a barn burner. Well, I wouldn't say a barn burner. I say probably a defensive game. They got two great defenses and two teams that love to run the football. And so I'm very excited and interested to see how this thing goes. It's not one of the more lively or Super Bowl games. It just seemed like it's been real low key. It don't even really seem like the Super Bowl this evening, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a good game. That's all I want to see. I want to see a great game, man. That's it. That's all. That's it. Just want to see a good game. Unfortunately, we are not in it, the Cowboys. So, it's a little bitter right now, bitterness with it. But on a kind of a lighter note, yesterday the Dallas Cowboys released that George Pickens is going to receive a franchise tag. And I'm not really surprised about them franchising GP because you have to look at the current roster. Okay, you got the highest paid quarterback, you got the highest paid receiver in CeeDee Lamb, and you got one of the highest paid offensive guards in the league. So the cap space is very limited right now, and it only made sense to franchise George Pickens right now so they can get something worked out as far as a long-term deal. Now, I feel kind of iffy, if I might say, that this deal is going to be done, man. It's a possibility that it might not get done long term, just considering that you got CeeDee Lamb, who's one of the highest paid receivers. He's making over $30 million. Then you're gonna have to pay George Pickens over $30 million. So looking at that alone, with two receivers making over $30 million, that's kind of rough. It's going to be kind of rough considering all the needs that you need on the defensive side of the ball. They're going to have to get real creative as far as renegotiating a lot of contracts of veterans that are currently on the team right now. So currently looking at the salary cap, right now they over 32 million in the salary cap alone right now as we speak. So they're going to have to do a lot of wheeling and dealing. You got the NFL draft that's coming up, but this is definitely a good step in the right direction as far as for the Cowboys trying to get a deal done. And at the end of the day, it's going to fall on George Pickens as far as how much he wants to be a Cowboy in the future, as far as this salary is concerned. So it's definitely one thing about this move that the Cowboys made as far as franchises. Now you're going to start seeing a lot of different pieces start to move as far as putting this roster together for next year. You still got Javonte Williams out there that needs a contract, and you're going to start seeing it's going to be real clear as the closer we get to the NFL draft of the direction that they're going to go as far as putting this roster together. And I want to hear your thoughts on what do you think after this franchise tag is put on GP? Which direction would you go? Would you go sign a Max Crosby, or would you package those picks and look for another veteran, or how would you handle pay George Pickens that $30 million, get that done before the season starts? Definitely something that's going to be talked about before the season or on the off season. You're going to hear about that. Honestly, I don't think it's going to be like a Micah Parsons situation, because George Pickens, he just wants to play football. You talk to him, you see interviews with him, he's all about playing football. He made it clear that he wants to stay a Dallas Cowboy. But, when money gets involved, you know how that thing goes when money gets involved. So looking at the current roster, I was thinking and looking at the current roster, and, I like to compare the Cowboys or, different team when the Super Bowl is played. I like to compare that current team, whoever the Cowboys have on that current team. I like to compare them to the Super Bowl contenders. And looking at this year's Super Bowl contenders, one thing I could say, they run the football very well. They're very efficient in the pass game, and you really don't see a lot of big names at receiver or at all these different skill positions. There ain't not a lot of big names or big contracts at these positions. So we go back to the contract negotiation. You're looking at the Cowboys roster with all these high expensive or high priced players. It's not really about paying everybody top dollar. These rosters are comprised of good football players that fit in their system. I'm talking about the Seattle Seahawks and the Patriots. You don't see them having highest paid receivers or highest paid running backs. They just got a good mixture of veteran talent and young talent, and that's what the Cowboys need. That should be a model for when they start putting this team back together for the next season. And I wouldn't be surprised, and I know Silver and Blue, you probably get upset by me saying this, man, but I wouldn't be surprised if they let GP walk. They might trade him if this thing goes south for another number one pick. How would you feel about that? I want you to leave your comments in the comments section. How would you feel about the Cowboys trading GP for a number one pick, or making a trade with the Raiders? Because you still got Max Crosby out there. He's still out there, and the Cowboys need some pass rushing help because of the inconsistencies of last year. But I just find that it's going to be very interesting on how they handle this. Now, you got the draft coming up, like I said, and with them franchising GP, you can never rule off the table that the Cowboys take at the number 12 and 20 pick a cornerback. It might be corner and a safety. You might get Caleb Downs and then one of the top corners coming out. You don't know, man. It just, with them franchises, going to definitely get the ball rolling, and hopefully they move fast. And what I would say, Silver and Blue Nation, that I would like to see them be quiet in the offseason this year, man. No controversies, just no mess, man. Just total silence, man. And shout out to Law Nation. I seen one of his posts, and I was reading one of his posts, or I think it was he was on his podcast, and he was talking about how it's important for the Cowboys to come in and just move in silence, take care of business, and not want to not be in the spotlight, man. And that's what if you look at the New England Patriots and you look at the Seattle Seahawks, they've just been moving in silence for the last 2 and 3 years. That Sam Darnold pickup in the offseason, it wasn't a lot of hoopla. They just signed him, and then he's been going to work. Drake May, he's been going to work over there. It's just like they've been off the radar, but they've been taking care of business. And guess what? They are in the Super Bowl. So who are your picks? Who are your picks today? My pick, I got Seattle. I got the favorite. All the fans, they picking Seattle to win the Super Bowl, and I'm on board with that. I think Seattle got a lot of good veterans. They got a rough defense. They don't allow anything. And so that's going to be my pick. And hopefully we can see a good game. That's all I want to see. But with that being said, I just want to hear your thoughts on the George Pickens franchise tag, and what next? What should the Cowboys do next as far as putting this team together? Let me hear your thoughts in the comments. And till the next time, I am out of here.